Oh, Baracha. Joshua is on Zoom with us.
Yeah.
Welcome to class. Sarah Business is also there.
Yes, good morning.
Let's see over here on Zoom. Dara Kapalovich. Your sisters are Fernanda's sisters? Your sisters. Kava Krinto. Vern Dar. And Shana Partish. Okay, hearing the names. Rivka Sher Prinsloo, not here. Rachel Prinsloo is here. Sharonel Sasson. Sophie Billy Yoffe. Yoffe?
Yeah.
Pronounced it right? Yeah. Yoffe. Frida Sokovitz. Okay. Welcome to the class.
Thank you.
Were we here before?
Last week was my first week.
Well, last week was the first week. Okay, so first of all, the last class, we were discussing about salt, putting salt and bread into klirisha and klishena. So who remembers about putting in salt? Could you put in salt into a bowl of soup? Could you put salt into a pot of soup? Anyone remembers, if you're allowed or not? If the soup is put in with a ladle?
No, if it was put into cliche.
If it's not in the primary vessel, that's fine.
Okay, one second. One second. Very good. So let's take one step at a time. Cliche. If the soup is in a cliche, you could put in salt.
Definitely no problem.
But it can't be burning out.
But isn't it by the time it's in cliche, isn't it considered not?
It could still be extremely hot even in the cliche. So it cannot be yad nichlis. We discussed that it can be cannot be yad nichlis. Yad nichlis is the hand to burn. Remember this? Yad nichlis, remember we spoke about this very important terms. Yad tzidadis. Yad nichlis means the hand to get burned. Yad tzidadis means the hand to, this is haram. Yad nichlis. If the soup is not yad nichlis, then you could put salt there or bread there. Now, without confusing you, hopefully, I would like to mention that there are opinions who do hold, many opinions hold, that once it's a kli shlishi, we're talking about a kli shlishi. I was going to talk about the ladle, but you mentioned kli shlishi, so we'll just explain that first. Everyone knows what kli shlishi is. According to many opinions, kli shlishi is okay. You could put, even if it's very hot. Even if it's yad nichlis, according to many opinions, if not even most opinions, say you could put. So I'm telling you not, because I'm going according to the opinion of my father, who holds that if it's yad nichlis, we don't care if it's a kli shlishi, because your hand could burn, because you could burn yourself. So even though it's a kli shlishi, he says you still can't put inside. Is that clear? Now, a bowl of soup usually is, you take it from a ladle. That means, so what's the status of the bowl of soup? What is the bowl of soup? Kli shlishi or kli shlishi?
It depends if you consider the ladle cliche.
Correct. It depends if you can, what's the ladle? It's not clear what the ladle is. We don't know for sure what the status of the ladle is. So the bowl of soup is questionable. Kli shlishi, and therefore you could be lenient if it's not yad nichlis, it's not extremely hot. we could be lenient and we could put salt into it. We could put salt or a chal into it. Now over here, when it's a bowl, they're using a ladle with question of the sheni shlishi, you definitely want to be machmir. You definitely want to hold that it cannot be yad nichris. When it's a shlishi, for sure a shlishi, then you have many opinions who say shlishi is no problem. Now we don't know if it's sheni or shlishi. So there's a leniency. Fine. But it should not be yad nichris. It's not yad nichris, then you could be lenient and you could put the challah or the salt into your bowl of soup.
How do you define what yadnik, like how can you identify something as yadnik?
It's very hard to explain it in words. It's something that you have to just experience. I mean, not experience it in the literal way, but basically, if I can describe it in words, Yad Tzedakah says it's so hot that you can't keep your finger. It's not comfortable. You don't want to keep your finger there. You draw it out immediately. But Yad Nichris is beyond that. You ever like boil, like you have a kettle of water on the fire? It's like really hot. It's much hotter than just the urn. And you pour yourself a cup, it's really hot. You can burn yourself.
You're not even thinking of putting your finger in there.
It's really hot. You could burn yourself. So there's no exact way how to gauge it, and other than that, but that's.
So then on Shabbos, isn't that not really an issue regarding soup? Because usually by the time soup is anyway served on Shabbos, it's not.
Not necessarily soup. If the soup is sitting on the fire, depends how big the fire is. If you make a nice big fire under the blech, and the soup is directly over it, it could be really hot. So again, if you're going to use the leniency of putting salt or chal into your soup, because it was used with a ladle, you have to make sure it's not piping hot. Because if it's really, really hot, then you have an issue. I think that's the reason that's just going to confuse you. I can give you the background, but I'll just leave it like this.
So like a practical way that you could test if you could put stuff into the soup would be maybe like to taste one spoon, and if you can like handle one spoon, then you put stuff in.
Very good. Yeah, you take up. You start eating the soup, and you feel it's like it's like eating soup. Yes, it's like then you know that's take it easy. It could be nichris. Yeah. But another interesting halacha is this is what we did in the last class. Now, another halacha that we did not mention yet is, I'm going to put something in a place where it could cook. That means if I'm putting, let's say I'm taking out something that's not cooked, water, cold water, a cup of cold water, and it's too cold. You want it for yourself, for the baby, it's too cold. You want to put it in a place where it's able to cook. That means if you were to leave it there, you're going to put it right very close to the blech. The blech itself is another conversation. So you're putting it very close to the blech where it's very hot, and it could become yatziledus. You're not allowed to cook water, obviously, right? You can't put it in a place where it's going to come yatziledus. Definitely not. But you're not planning to leave it there for so long. You're just going to put it in there for like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, just that it should take away, it shouldn't be so cold. It should become room temperature, Is that okay? And the answer is no, it's not okay. Because we are afraid, we are concerned that you might forget and you leave it there. So you're putting it in a place where it has the ability to cook. And if you want to forget and leave it there, it would cook. You can't put it there because you might forget. There is a leniency if it's for a person, it's hard for him, it's not good for his health, and it's going to, and even if you leave it there, it's going to take a very long time until it cooks. So and the intention is not to to necessarily make it warm, just to take away the chill. So there could be leniency in a situation where it's where it's something that's important for you and has all those conditions that it's going to take a long time to cook if you forget to leave it there. So then there is a leniency.
Are you allowed to put something out in the sun to warm it up?
Yes, if it's directly in the sun, we discussed in previous classes that you're allowed to. You're allowed to cook directly under the sun. You just can't cook something that was heated up by the sun. If you have, let's say, something that was heated up by the sun, then you cannot cook in that. But if it's directly from the sun directly is cooking it, you're allowed to. If you have such a method, that the sun itself is cooking it, then you're allowed to cook that way. Okay, I want to give out this sheet, which is a review sheet. I thought I had enough copies.
Wait, so in the future, if they create a way to like harness like sun energy, like not harness it, but like amplify it, would we be
Yeah,
able to
but-
cook on Shabbos?
It has to be, the catch is very simple. Usually when you do that, it's the sun heating up something else, and that's heating up the food.
What if it was like a magnifying glass that was like amplifying the sun?
And you'd be allowed to cook it, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You would be allowed to cook on Shabbos, yes. Because the prohibition was the way it was in the Mishkan, when they used fire. It has to be directly by the sun. It can't be the sun is heating up that, and then using the energy of the sun.
It has to be that the sun's energy is directly.
Yeah.
That's like your invention right there, yeah. Because they do that, they use magnifying glass to like create fires. So I'm thinking like if they had like some type of like thing they could amplify.
It's amplifying the sun, not that magnifying is heating. It's just
Yeah,
amplifying
yeah.
the sun.
Yeah.
That should be okay. It's directly the sun, yeah. Who here has the energy to run downstairs and run back up? Yeah? All good? Like 10 just to be safe. Thank you. Okay, now. One, might have just enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 more. So missing 2 over here. So the first question, maybe you could share me one. You want to share until so. See it? The first one, could you put? Oh, it's not good. It's a fact. It said, cannot put salt in a pot of soup. Can't pour from urn on milk. These are basically statements that are reviewed from what we learned. You can look through it. If there's anything that's not clear, it should be very straightforward. Look through it, see if there's anything that's not clear. So look at 3. Is 1 and 2 clear? Yes. 3. Can put liquid spices, instant coffee, sugar in kli sheni. Kli sheni ein mevashim. Kli sheni does not have the ability to cook. So you could put stuff in a kli sheni. So you could put anything in a kli sheni?
Only if it's not, yeah.
If it's not yad nichnas, correct. But you could put anything inside a kli sheni, anything you want.
There are some foods that are delicate.
There are certain foods that are very delicate and sensitive and will cook in a kli sheni. And we don't know what they are, so that's why we should not put anything in a kli sheni. Besides those things, that is clearly spelled out over here that you could put in a kli sheni. Thank you very much. You wanna
Yeah,
pass
there's
down?
an option.
Yeah.
Would tea be considered spices or
Oh, very good question, tea. So tea, question is, could you put tea in a cliche? And the answer is that there's an argument about tea. Some people say that tea, you could put, that tea is the same like everything else, which means that just like all the other foods, we are strict, we don't put in a cliche. The general rule is we don't put things in a cliche. But you are seeing on line 2, 4, 3 and 4 is put together, I just made the lines, so I can tell you where to look. I tell you, look at this line. It's not two separate things. Okay, so remember, again, 3 and 4 is not two separate statements. It's just lines, like you have lines on a page, which line we're up to. That's what it is. So generally, what you are seeing in 3 and 4, you are seeing the items that you're allowed to put in a cliche. Because generally speaking, you're not allowed to put things in a cliche, though it's not yad nichris, it's only yad tziledis. Nevertheless, generally speaking, you're not supposed to put food that's not cooked in a cliche. Only the things that I mentioned here you could put in, but other than that, you cannot. So getting back to tea, what about tea? So there's machlekes. Some say tea is in the category of all the other foods, which we say, oh, don't put in a cliche. It might cook. Having said that, that tells us that you cannot put in a cliche. But to pour from the cliche onto the tea bag, or to put the tea bag into a shlishi, you will be allowed. Right? So as a general rule, when we're saying, don't put food in a cliche because you're not sure it might cook. That means don't put it in a cliche. But in a cliche, you could, right? However, there's a more strict opinion. There is a concept, brought in halacha, there are certain foods that we know are extremely delicate, and they will cook even in shlishi and revi. Shlishi 3 to revi 4, there is certain foods that we know are very delicate. And Shulchan Aruch speaks about certain type of fish. It's called mackerel. It's a very delicate type of that fish cooks very quickly, even with not such hot water, even if it's a shlishi klivi. So anything that's very delicate that cooks quickly, you cannot even put in a klivi if we know that it's going to cook there. So therefore, we're saying that tea, because tea, some opinions say, is extremely delicate and it could cook very quickly, you should not make tea on Shabbos. So, we avoid making tea on Shabbos. But there are those that are lenient, like we said, and they'll put tea into a kli shlishi. Those who don't make tea on Shabbos, what they will do is they will make the tea essence before Shabbos. So you take like 4 or 5 tea bags, put it into boiling water, and you cover it, and you make a very strong tea essence. And then you have tea for Shabbos. And then what do you do Shabbos? How do you use it on Shabbos? Anyone remembers from a previous class how we would use the tea essence on Shabbos in a permitted way?
pour it into the hot water that you have later, like the.
You pour hot water into
Like a cliche or
cliche, and then you pour from the urn into a cliche, and then what?
From which are in the hot water or the tea essence?
No, you make
How is
tea.
it?
The tea essence is made before Shabbos, and they have a cup of cold tea essence during Shabbos. It's not staying hot. Unless you theoretically can keep it hot on the black, but let's say it's not. If it's hot, it's hot. Now you're going to pour from the urn into a cliche. Now what do you do? You want to say something else? how to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone knows, how are you gonna use the tea essence on Shabbos? Anyone? To try? You pour from the hot water urn into the cup,
And you pour tea
Cliche.
essence into there.
you pour tea essence into the cliche or the cliche into the tea essence? How do you do it?
You need to do it like the other way that you're not doing during the week. Yes.
A shinoi?
Yes.
Shinoi is by other malachas. You're thinking about a kneading, not kneading, flour,
But
you know,
we're-
like you're mixing, you're
But
bonding,
it isn't there, like if you're doing something for the baby, you know?
and you do for the baby, you mix.
No,
That's something else, that's the malach, I'm talking about the malach of like, you wanna make baby cereal for the baby, so you're mixing the baby cereal with water. So over there, if you're doing it in Shabbos, you have to do it in reverse, you shouldn't do it in the regular way to change the malach. Here, the issue is you're cooking, you're gonna be cooking the tea essence. The tea essence is already cold, it's already room temperature.
But it's
Right.
like you could put a liquid into cliche.
We said you can put a liquid into cliche.
Yeah, and the tea essence is a liquid.
So why, very good, so why can't you, very good, so the question is, why can't you put the tea essence into the cliche? We said over here, we said in line 3 and 4, that you could put liquid spices into coffee, sugar, and cliche. So seemingly, it would seem that you could put the tea essence into the cliche. What's the catch? Why you would not in some situations? What's the catch? To the board. Yad nichris. If the water is yad nichris, then you're not allowed. It's not even a machlokes about the total opinions. No, if it's a cliche and it's yad nichris, then you can't. You can't put the tea essence into the water, into the hot water. So what do? We spoke about in another class how to do it. Maybe we discussed it quickly. Does anyone remember how you're allowed to cook, how you're allowed to put cold into hot, or hot into cold?
Cold and hot would make more sense.
They should be allowed.
Because you're cooling it down.
Cooling down. You're not cooking it, you're saying.
Yeah, you're cooling down the hot water.
And you're saying hot into cold should be worse.
Yeah.
So, okay, but so actually it works the opposite way around. The way it works is, something called tato goba. Tato. Tato means the bottom. This is not Russian, it's just Aramaic language. The Gemara was written in Aramaic. Babylon. Tato means the bottom. Goba overpowers. The bottom overpowers. When you have a wrestling match, so the ones on top overpowers. But when you talk about hot and cold, the bottom overpowers. Heat rises. So when you have cold into hot, the hot overpowers the cold. When you put cold to the hot is cooking the cold. Then you're putting hot into cold, then it's not the hot cooking the cold, it's the cold cooling off the hot. That's how it's. Yeah, there is machlekes about it. Some say what? But the bottom line is you're going to put, if you're pouring hot into cold, it's cooking the cold, right? So what does this mean? According to halacha, according to many opinions, it would come out, you could pour hot into cold. So the way it comes out of the final halacha is, we do not pour hot into cold. If you're pouring from a keli rishon. So if you're pouring from a keli rishon, we don't pour hot into cold because we say it's cooking it. However, when you're pouring from a keli into another keli, so if you already took water from the urn, keli, right? I have a cup of hot water here. This came from the urn. Took water from the urn. filled it up, it's a kli sheni. Now, a kli sheni is not the same status like kli rishon. So here, when we are going to be lenient, then we will pour from the hot into the cold. And the reason is because even this, that we don't pour from kli rishon onto cold, is that we're being strict. So once it's already removed from that, it's already a step removed, it's a kli sheni, we are allowed to pour from a kli sheni onto cold. So to bring it up practically, if you have tea essence, what do? You pour from the kli sheni onto the tea essence. Especially that the tea essence was already cooked. So that makes it a little stronger, because there are opinions that say that even liquid, once it's cooked, you're allowed to recook, even though it's room temperature. We don't go by that, but there are opinions who say that. Remember we spoke about even by a lach. Remember this concept? There's no cooking after cooking. Once something is cooked already, you can cook it again, it's already cooked. But the liquid, if it's cooked and it becomes cold, that's different. It's cold now. But there are opinions who say that you're allowed to recook it. We don't go by those opinions, but that opinion is still an opinion. It's still, we use it in a certain way. We rely on it. You remember what way we rely on it? This was discussed. We did talk about it. It could be just that time went a little quicker. It doesn't seem. If I have hot water, here's a practical situation. You're drinking coffee, you're drinking tea, and just sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now you want to add more hot water. And your coffee is still warm. It's not hot, it's not yatziledis. It's not yatziledis, it's warm. Warm. Has warmth to it. It's not room temperature. Okay? Well, you have to be very clear over here. When we talk about yatziledis, okay, we'll do like this. We'll go from hot to cold. Yad lichnis. Yad tziledis. Then after yad tziledis, we're going to say there's no. I'm just using a word. Not that these are terms in halacha. Now I'm just using a term just to describe it. Just writing warm. Okay. It's still warm. Warm is not yad tziledis. But it's warm. Then you have room temperature. Room temp. Okay. Room temperature. So now the water is yad tziledis. Now the water went down. Your coffee is now warm. Still good. Then 20 minutes, half an hour later, it's room temperature. And maybe still drinking it. Now your coffee is still warm. You want to add more hot water to it. Are you allowed to put more hot water into the warm water, to your warm coffee? The answer is yes. Being that it was already cooked, you're allowed to. Now you have to understand something. According to the opinion that says that you're not allowed to recook water, how are you allowed to put hot water into the warm water? It's not yad tziledis anymore. You're recooking it. The water is not yad tziledis. You're not allowed to recook liquid. Get it? According to the opinion that says you're not allowed to recook liquid that cooled off, then even if it's just below yad tziledis, you're also not allowed to. So Dr. Rebbe draws a fine line. He sort of merges the opinions. He takes both opinions and he's relying on one of the opinions that says that you're allowed to recook cold liquid. He relies on that opinion, and he's regarding that when it's still warm, he says, oh, because it's still warm, we're going to rely on the opinion that says you can anyways recook liquid, even if it's room temperature. So he's relying on that opinion that you could recook the warm coffee. How are you recooking it? If you take a cup of coffee that's still warm, you put it under the urn and you pour hot water straight into it, you're cooking it. You're recooking it. Because we are strict generally not to put hot into cold. And we allow you to do this while it's still warm. But once it goes down to room temperature, then you're not allowed. Is that clear? So that's from Kli Rishon. That's from the hot water directly into your cup. But when you're going from a Kli Sheni into something, you have the Kli Sheni of hot water, and you want to pour into the tea essence, then we say then it doesn't matter, Yad Nichvis, there's no issue, you're allowed to do it. It's accepted. Okay, so what do we have? So let's go, I'll give you some time, work a few minutes yourself, partner with someone, and go through the sheets, see what you understand, what you don't understand, and then you don't understand something you can ask, and then we'll review together. We can do it together. You want to do that way? No? You partner with someone, review it together.
Okay.
If it's simple, just,
Can you
move on. Just want to make sure you have it.
Can you explain this again?
Which one?
You cannot put the challah in the soup. The 8.
8?
Mhm.
Can't put challah in a pot of soup. In a pot of soup.
When you say like challah,
Or
it's
cliche. Challah.
it's even like a piece of challah. Like I'm not
Challah. Because you're boiling it, yes.
So like if I have like the salad dressing in my plate, I cannot put also the challah into the salad dressing like the rest.
Cliche.
Like
Soup.
I'm eating salad and I have the dressing, so I already finished my salad and I have the dressing in my plate, like the rest. I'm allowed to put the challah or
You're talking about hot. Cliche. Hot soup.
okay, so
Yeah, it's got some hot soup over here. That's no point. It's not hot, there's no problem. Okay, any questions?
Oh,
You know what I
the
mean?
bowl on the ladle, it says the big and yish. What does that mean?
There's a doubt what the bowl is.
So
The
think it's
ladle,
out?
some is a doubt.
Okay.
Right, so, forget about 10, cross out 10. Actually, cross it out of here. You don't have to cross it, that's fine. Yes, we should have here, machlekes. Spoke about this, yes. Okay, you going through it, or you want, should we go through it together? Looks like, yeah, okay, go together. So 1, 2, 3, I think it's clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can pour from Kli Sheni. You're allowed to pour from Kli Sheni. That's the general rule. You could pour from Kli Sheni because either the Kli Sheni, either the Rasha, pouring from Kli Sheni does not have the ability to cook. That's generally how it works. So the stringency of not putting into Kli Sheni is putting into a Kli Sheni, but pouring from a Kli Sheni is a step removed, generally speaking. If the Kli Sheni is Yad Nichvis, then you'll still have a problem. Pouring from a Kli Sheni that's Yad Nichvis, burning hot, onto something will be the same thing like putting into a Kli Sheni Yad Nichvis.
you have to wait like a minute or two.
have to make sure it's not Yad Nichnas.
By putting a finger, or just like
How do you make sure it's not Yad Nichnas?
wait a bit.
Wait, whatever, yeah, you put your finger in there to check.
I'm not gonna put it
So-
in someone else's soup.
Right. Yeah, you don't know, you're careful. So we are saying in line 5 that you could pour from a klisheni, so we're distinguishing between putting into a klisheni, pouring out, that's when it's yad less, but it's not yad nichas. 6, can put dry lotion in pot of soup. Yes, that's clear? Yeah, you could. Does everyone read English? Yeah? Yeah, get it? 8, can't put challah in a pot of soup or a cliche. We discussed it. 9, melech machlekes. Ever read this? 9, melech is salt, machlekes argument. Yesh lahachme, we need to be strict and cliche. 10, yesh pishu achrafia machlekes. What does it mean, yesh pishu achrafia? There is boiling after baking. It's machlekes. There's a rule, ein bishu achar bishu, you can't cook after cooking, but to cook after baking, what does it mean to cook after baking? What does it mean?
After something is baked, it'll still cook if it's boiled.
Very good. If you put the challah into the soup, even though the challah is baked, you're still boiling it. It's still considered you're cooking it. But it's baked already, but it wasn't boiled. So yesh bishu achrafia. The parenthesis tells you, but it's a machlekes. But halacha, that's we have to be careful. That's why we don't put challah in the soup, because we treat it in a way of yesh bishu achrafia. Yeah, everyone's following? 11, bowl. Yeshnata, suffix later is a suffix.
So
12,
maybe to put a question,
Hmm?
a doubt.
suffix is a doubt, yes. So the later is a suffix.
So what do we do? Like,
So therefore, yeshnata bowl. So I wrote, you could be matir the bowl. The bowl,
could become the third one.
because there's a suffix on the ladle, there's a suffix on the bowl.
Uh,
If you don't know what the ladle is, if the ladle is a rishon or a sheni, that means you don't know if the bowl is a sheni or shlishi.
Right.
Right? So that's why, what did I write? In yesh lahata, you could be lenient, as we discussed.
Thanks.
If it's not yad nichas. 12, the same thing is when it comes to melach. Right, okay, so here I'm just giving you already the practical things, 12. These are lines. I wrote it, it looks like it's separate things, but I wrote it to be just a line, so you can tell you where we're up to. It's continuation. In the bowl, yesh lahatin melech. Well, if not yad nichas. It's like, so basically 11, 12, and 13 is one sentence. Okay, so make a note of it. 11, 12, 13 is not separate things. It's one sentence. It's one statement just broken up. Maybe I have to edit it next time, the sheet again. Okay, we covered this. So what we could do is we could either start the blech thing. Maybe we should discuss more about Bishul. So this when we start the blech, it'll be a new thing from scratch. We start discussing the blech. Let's see. Oh. So let me ask you like this. Are you allowed to put, okay, you have to pay attention carefully and think about it before you answer. It might sound like a simple question, like something that we learned already, I'm repeating myself, so just think into it. First of all, if someone asks you, can you pour hot into cold? Could you pour hot into cold? What would your natural reaction be? To pour from a clean mishrei onto cold. Would that be okay?
No.
Answer is no. We learned you can't pour. Give me a situation where you could. I want you to think about a situation where you could pour from a clean mishrei onto cold. You have to be innovative to think out of the box a little bit. We're in a situation where you could pour hot onto cold. Anyone? Okay. It has to do with the amount of how much you're using.
160,
Huh?
160.
No. 160 this for kashrus, nullifying. Has to do with the amount of how much hot, how much cold. I'm almost giving you an answer, but I'm going to think a little bit. It has to do with how much hot, how much cold. So I want a situation where you're allowed to pour hot into cold, from a clean shape onto cold. Anyone? No? Hot into cold. You won't be allowed. It has to do with the amount of how much hot, how much cold.
Like if you had like soup or something, and like a over.
Is it a little bit of soup left? And then I can pour more hot onto it?
It'd have to be
With
a
a
lot.
small amount of soup, I'll be cooking the soup.
There has to be a lot of cold and a tiny bit of hot.
Good, very good. Very good. So first to make it clear, I'm not talking about when it's still warm, because then of course you're allowed. I'm talking about when it's room temperature, that's first of all. So now I'm discussing hot into cold, I mean room temperature. So that was correct. If there's a large amount of cold water, you have a cup of cold water, it's too cold, I want to put a little bit of hot, because it's too cold, I don't like cold water. I'm pouring hot into cold. Am I allowed? Yes. Because I'm not doing anything, nothing is cooking over here.
It's like if you have milk for a baby, but they need like
Right? So you can add a little bit of hot water, there's no problem.
from the urn directly?
Hmm?
From the urn directly, you could do it?
Yeah. Directly from the earth into cold. Why? Because you have a large amount of cold water. It's not.
How much is enough, like, to measure? Like
It's
half.
hard to
less?
give an exact, I never measured it, I can't say for sure. I think there was a majority. So I'm referring to a very straightforward case where you have a cup of water and you're adding some hot.
Okay.
But what if it's less? I think it has to do with majority,
It's less
but I haven't
than
tested
half.
recently. I
Less
think
than-
if there's a majority of cold, I can't say for sure. I'm gonna have to, test it.
So basically for your grandmother, like when you put the hot water.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Right.
thinking of?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then where would there be a situation where you can put cold into hot?
There's a lot of hot water and a cold water.
Pouring cold into hot? Huh? You meant to say a lot of cold water, I think. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
It's a large amount of cold water that you're pouring in, and it has to be at once. It can't be a little at a time, because every time you pour a little, it's cooking. You pour a lot at once, then it's fine. Okay, we're done with today. Shabbos, everyone. So
Thank you.
next week in
Shabbos.
Mitzvah Shem, we're going to do, next Friday, we're going to go Shabbat time?
It's here, it's family of some, so it's like,
This class is on.
there's five.
Okay, so next Friday, Mitzvah Shem, we're going to learn about the blech. So till now, we discussed bishul, cooking and Shabbos. Then there's a separate discussion about the blech. Putting on the blech, taking off the blech, that has nothing to do with cooking. I mean, it's connected to cooking, but it's not because of the prohibition of cooking. Chacham made decrees regarding putting things on the blech. So this is what we're going to discuss in the next week.
Thank you.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Thank you.